So, my creepy bus story happened to me a few years ago. I got on the bus, and this guy was sitting a few rows in front of me. He turned back to look directly at me. I ignored him, but the bus was quite empty, so a few minutes later, I decided to change to a seat near the back door, which was on a higher level and gets more wind. Seeing me move towards the back of the bus, he got up and went to another door, probably thinking that I was exiting the bus. I waited by the door just to check if he was really trying to get off at the same stop as me. The next stop came, and I just waited by the door. He was watching me and didn't exit the bus. I took a seat near the back door, and he just sat near the door he was at. That's when I got really pissed and walked by him to go talk to the woman taking the ticket at the entrance of the bus and explain the situation to her, even though I honestly thought she would just ignore me. But she listened to me and told me to sit down in a seat near her for a moment. She noticed that the guy kept looking at me, and then how he began looking at his phone for a moment, and then went to the back of the bus near the exit, where I was before. She asked when my stop was, and the next one wasn't it. So she told me to wait by the door in the middle and pull the cord for the next stop. And she went to talk to the bus driver. When she got back to her seat, she told me to pretend to get off the bus and look for the guy. When he gets off, I should get back quickly. She said all that looking forward, not to me at her side, so he wouldn't notice. So I did that, really nervous, but I pretended to play with my phone, so the guy didn't see me looking at him with the corner of my eyes. Lo and behold, as I made my way down the steps, he stepped out in a hurry. I quickly took a few steps back in the bus, and the doors were shut. You would think it ended there, but no. He started to angrily bang on the back door, demanding to be let in. The bus stopped at a red light, so he ran to the front entrance to try and get in. The bus driver refused to let him in. Then he got weirdly calm and just stared at me. He kept his eyes on me until I was out of sight for him. I was shaking from anger, to be honest, since I enjoy empty bus rides in a calm afternoon, and that creep ruined it for me, and even managed to make me feel unsafe. Even worse, the lady that took the tickets said that this happens more frequently than people think, and many women stay quiet because males in her position usually dismiss those things. She told me that in this case, the drivers were more likely to take an action. This happened about 2 years ago when I was 20. I'm quite a small female. I was doing some shopping in town, alone. I still remember that it was a warm Sunday afternoon. People were out with families, and it was quite busy in the city center. I had some free time, so I decided on paying my grandma a visit. To get to her place, you needed to take a 20-minute bus ride from where I was. So I was waiting for my bus, and I noticed this man staring at me. He wasn't much older than I was, and I still remember he had on a bright yellow hat. I usually don't really care when someone looks at me, but this man was staring at me with a sort of anger, like I had done something to him. Most people in the bus stop were either facing the traffic or looking at the coming buses, but not him. He had his back to the traffic and was just staring at me. I had a weird feeling about him, but I saw my bus coming and just hoped he wouldn't get on it. Except he did. I quickly sat in a window seat, and luckily for me, an old lady sat next to me. This old lady was like a shield between me and this guy. He stood next to our seat almost the whole ride, except for pacing around oddly a couple of times. I was already quite freaked out and was texting my at the time boyfriend through it. While he hadn't actually done anything to me, I just had a really bad gut feeling. A few stops before mine, the old lady sadly got off the bus. The guy's behavior became even weirder. He sat next to me, which made me completely tense up. I refused to even look at my phone or text anyone in case he saw anything he could use to look me up later. I think he sensed me tensing up, so we got up and went back to either standing next to my seat or pacing around the bus. My stop came and I waited until the last moment to get off the bus. Sadly, he also managed to get off the bus. What followed confirmed that he was indeed after me. I guess in an attempt to put me off again, he ran ahead of me on the road and kept glancing back. Him doing so actually gave me the best chance of getting out of the situation. You see, if he would have kept walking behind me, I would have been forced to either make a run for the apartment door and hope I was fast enough to close the door before him, or run in another direction and just hope I would have reached any place safe before him. I was out of the city center now, and there weren't many people around either to help me. So in that split moment, I decided to turn around, walk in the other direction and dial my mom. It was pretty bad, but I decided to call my mom in case anything happened to me, so she would know who it was. I told my mom what happened and she told me to make a run for it. Down the road, there was this smaller burger place that would have a security guard. She told me to run for it and just tell them what was going on, so I did. I glanced back and saw the guy running after me, which almost made me cry. Luckily, I reached the burger place before he caught me. From the window, I saw him crossing the road. I guess him seeing me get into the burger place threw him off. I have no idea why he fixated on me or what his plans were if he caught me. I'm not sure I even want to know. This happened when I was in my early 20s. I was working in a retail store in a mall, but there weren't enough hours. So I asked if there was anything else I could do, and my boss told me that the location at the other mall needed more help, so I could go there on my weekend. I decided to take the bus route that was a bit longer as I didn't have to make any transfers, so I got up early and caught the earliest one I could. The bus ride was fairly normal. I got to see parts of my city I hadn't seen before. I did notice that the bus eventually went into a more dingy neighborhood. There was more trash everywhere, abandoned buildings, houses, and cars, etc. I noticed it, but I felt like I was safely on the bus, and my destination was in a nice neighborhood. At some point, an elderly lady got on the bus, and I noticed that no one was getting up to offer her a seat. So I gave her mine and went to hold the pole next to the side door of the bus and continued on my way. While riding, I remember looking at a guy next to me and asking if he knew about how much longer it would take to get to my stop. But before he answered, someone hit the buzzer to get off. The doors next to me opened, and then I felt hands on my free arm grabbing me and pulling me. I immediately clenched up because I generally don't like any physical contact with strangers outside of a greeting handshake. And I really think that reflex saved my life because it took my brain a few seconds to register that someone was trying to pull me off the bus. A tall man in a white tank top, blue jeans, and white tennis shoes had come out of the back of the bus, grabbed my arm, and tried to drag me off the bus. He had pulled me down to the second step before I even understood what was going on, and I was just barely still hanging onto the pole. The arm he was grabbing had my purse on it, and I actually tried to shake my purse down to him so he'd let me go, but he had no interest in my purse. I had just about started calling for help when I felt someone grab my waist and pull me back up towards the bus. The man trying to pull me down must have realized that he couldn't get me without dragging this out longer than he expected, so he finally gave up and ran off. And that was it. The guy ran off, the doors shut, and I vaguely remember hearing the man who saved me say something along the lines of, "You would die in that neighborhood." And I had apparently gone into some kind of shock because I only remember saying, "Oh." I don't even remember thanking him. I didn't say anything to the driver. I didn't contact the police like I should have. I don't even remember my shift at that other location. I don't remember the ride home. It was like I was numb. It was when I was at home. I had completely showered and gotten ready for bed in my nightgown that I sat at the edge of my bed and thought,
Did I almost get kidnapped? I almost got kidnapped. I have a lot of regrets about all of this. I regret not contacting the police in the case that guy goes after another woman. At least women would be aware that he was out there. And I regret not thanking and keeping in contact with that nice person who saved me. I actually posted an article in my local forums in hopes of him somehow reading it and knowing how grateful I am to him. Well, anyway, to the guy that tried to take me off the bus, I hope you got caught.